Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 52 of the Whitey and Will Sports Show. Today is Sunday, November 13th, and it is the night before the official beginning of the IHSA girls basketball season. And for the second time on our program, if you go back to episode number 10, we had the three basketball coaches from St. Anthony, Effingham High School, and Teutopolis High School join us, and it's the same trio back on for a second time around. Somehow we managed to con them all into this one more time. So we've got going clockwise on my screen anyway, Jeff Schafer from Effingham High School, if you want to give everybody a wave if they don't know who you are. Aaron Rios from St. Anthony High School, back with the show again. And Laurie Thompson from Teutopolis, down there in the lower left of my screen anyway. Laurie, thanks for hopping on with us.
Hey, Whitey, you know, these are our first coaches who have repeat guests.
First coaches who are repeat guests.
Yeah, that's our first one. So,
well, you know, they've been coaching for a while, so you know, gluttons for punishment in more way than one, I guess. That's the way we have to. That's the way we have to put it. But
I guess last year's checks cleared the bank, so we're good.
That's why I wrote them, because we didn't want them to bounce. So we got three coaches here who are coming off of pretty solid seasons, all 20 game winners across the board here, and programs that have been strong, and hopefully looking for some more good things. We'll get into that in a little bit, but the way we did this last year was we gave all the coaches a chance to talk individually about their team for a while, and then we hit on a few other subjects, more broad-ranging stuff, and I think we can do that this way, Mike, unless you had some sort of other plan. Not that we discussed it ahead of time or anything like that. That would be crazy.
Out of our realm.
Yeah, we don't want to have too much of a production only. That would be just crazy. But I think we can start by talking about each team individually. And I did do one thing just so that it didn't appear that we were showing any favoritism. I've got the names of the three teams in this hat right here.
Wow.
And I'm going to draw them out, and that's how we're going to determine the order of who talks. So if everybody's okay with that.
We're expanding our budget in year 2. Wow, that's impressive.
That's right. Went out and bought a notebook and everything. So here we go. And if you can see that, I don't know if you can see that. Effingham High School is the first one I picked out of there. Second one's going to be T-Town, and then Aaron, you're gonna bring up the rear, but don't worry, that's just luck of the draw. So that's how we're gonna go. Jeff, 21-11 last year at Effingham High School. By the way, Jeff, 25th season, correct? 25th season with the Hearts?
I don't know, 30th overall. I think 26 somewhere in there. Yeah, doing it for 30 years at some level.
According to IHSA, anyway, 25th season, 449 wins in those years. And like I said, coming off of a 21-win year, you guys got to the regional championship and played Mount Vernon real tough. Lost that one by 6 points. But, you are in this place where you've got some pretty good players coming back, but obviously had some good ones graduate. Tell me a little bit about this year's team. Who's going to need to be stepping up this time around for you?
Yeah, well, we got to replace 2 all-conference players, and Meredith Schafer and Sawyer Altoff. Those were 2 of our leaders last year, as well as we had 2 other seniors that graduated as well. With Coraline Orsarge and Krista Phillips. But trying to replace the scoring is probably the biggest thing for us. We did have a lot of young kids last year play it as freshmen, so that's probably going to help us this year. They didn't play a ton. Some of them played, one of them played from the beginning, and another one played a little bit. Another one played a little bit more so as the season went on. But trying to fill those gaps and find out as a coach, it's nice to have the balanced scoring, but not knowing where the scoring is going to come from sometimes is a challenge also. So I think we got to just keep going and see how the roles fall into place. And, I think we definitely overachieved last year. Our chemistry just really came together real nicely. And a lot of those same kids are playing right now. So I'm hoping that will continue.
Now you talked about Schafer, and she was your leading scorer, just a touch under 14 points a game last year, at least by what records I was keeping. But you do what you do have coming back is Ella Nieberge was she was a pretty consistent scorer for you. I think she averaged just a touch under 9, but was capable of putting together a big game. Is it something where you're looking for her to maybe even take another step forward this year, or are you just kind of looking for things to fill in around that a little bit?
That was our success last year, because Meredith kind of went from maybe 5 or 6 points a game as a junior to, almost 14. Made that step, gave us a shooter, and that's what we got to do with some of these other kids now. I mean, they all got to take that step from being a junior to being a senior, or being a freshman to getting key minutes as a sophomore. And that's why we play in the summertime and get some extra games in there to try to give them those games without the people that played the previous year. Just kind of puts us ahead a little bit. And again, I would say this team is so similar to last year's. Is like I don't know what our goal. I mean, I don't want to set goals, too much, because, last year I think if you ask us before the year started, we just didn't know. And, someone would probably say we won almost twice as many games as they thought we probably would. But, but a lot of that had to do with the chemistry. And I kind of used that word earlier. And these kids play really hard. They play well together. They're a ton of fun every day in practice. I really just enjoy going and working with them and watching, the battles every day in practice. Get better, I guess.
Yeah. Size and depth, two important things for any basketball team. Where are you shaping up in
but really probably 5 players that had varsity experience last year. That's kind of a bad thing. We do have a big group of seniors, which help make the practices really competitive every day. But our main ones coming back are, like you said, Ella and Madison Mapes. I really look forward to her. I think she's going to kind of do what Meredith. I expect her and Ella to kind of do what Meredith did last year, and get to double figures. And Madison, I think she only averaged 5 points a game. And I thought she had a really tough first half of the year, but down the stretch, she was definitely one of our best players last year. You look at the last 10 or 15 games. And then Marissa just does a great job defensively for 5'0", playing in the post. Just a great defender, and we'll do whatever we need her to do to win. Then, probably how our sophomores do will probably determine how our season goes, what kind of progress, like Sage Altoff, who got a lot of varsity playing experience last time. And then Sydney Donaldson also made huge strides. And then by the end of the year, she, was really big in the regional for us. And then Bria Bills, hopefully, she played one full varsity game last year when Meredith got COVID, and she was our leading scorer. And, our chemistry was so good with the rest of those kids. When Meredith came, she only missed one game, that Bria kind of just went back to the JV and was really, her goal was to get ready to play Meredith's spot this year. And, from what I've seen so far, it looks like we did the right thing. Kid scores 14 points and then doesn't play much varsity basketball the rest of the year. I just kept telling her, I'm like, just please trust me. I think that we're doing the right thing with you and not moving you up too quick also. But, I think she's got a lot more. All 3 of those kids have got a lot physically stronger too, which, you have to be physical in the Apollo conference. It's just night in and night out. It's just a really, really, last year we had 3 state ranked teams in the top 10 all year long in 3A. So, So they got some great experience playing against those kind of teams all year last year. And we found a way to win some.
And that the thing I noticed about those sophomores that you talked about is that when they got pushed into the varsity arena, they played like they felt like they belonged there. That's how it struck me, is that they weren't, and maybe things are a little different in the huddle, or when you're talking to them during the game. But from my vantage point, at least when I saw them play, it didn't seem like they were shying away from the situation, or like they were apprehensive about being on the court.
Right. And I think a lot of that goes to practice. I mean, being able to practice against the older kids and seeing what they did. And that's probably been one of the best things so far. It's kind of a blessing and a curse when you have a lot of seniors, because there's 5 spots out there. And we have like 4 seniors who didn't really play varsity at all last year. So, but when you look at it every day in practice, they're going up against, those sophomores are going up against those guys every day. And those kids aren't just showing up. They're doing a really good job of coming practice every day and trying to battle and make it really, really hard for those other kids. So
sure.
While it's a blessing to have that many kids, it's also it's hard to get them all in.
You mentioned the Apollo last year and how good it was, and yeah, with with Mattoon, Muhammad, Lincoln all being really good teams. Is it going to be the same kind of gauntlet this year? With a lot of graduation losses with those teams or not? I don't know off the top of my head. I
think it will be. It'll just be different teams. Taylorville was really young, starting 2 really good freshmen last year, so they're going to take a step forward. Muhammad lost 3 really good players, and as did Mattoon. But Lincoln has everybody back, and they got just a phenomenal player in the Frobe girl. So, but I think we should be right, a step just right behind them, maybe with a chance to finish, in the top tier again. But I mean, it's another one of those, who knows? I mean, I know Mount Zion is better. They got a 6-foot post transfer into there from one of the smaller schools around Mount Zion. And, probably every team that was below us last year has probably got better. And then everybody but Lincoln has probably taken a step backward just a little bit. But,
sure.
But I really feel like it doesn't matter, though, in our conference, because if you don't come to play, you're going to lose.
Yeah. And you went 6-6 in the Apollo, and somebody could look at that and not know anything about it and say, well, that's, that's so whatever. But, winning 6 games, against that competition, that's no easy task. And that means that, like you said, you showed up to play, on those nights, and had some other games, I think, in there that were pretty good fights, even if they didn't go your way.
Right. And it just, it helps us with the rest of our schedule too. I mean, your whole goal is to get ready for the regional, and man, we had it set up so beautifully last year. We were playing our best basketball coming in, and then we shoot 17% in the regional final and lose by 6 points. And it's like everything went exactly like we'd hoped, but it just came down to you got to take the shots, and we didn't that night. And everything else was done to exactly how you would like to write the script, but we just didn't put the ball in the basket that night.
That was on your home floor too, right? Effingham was hosting the regional, correct?
That's what made it sting a little worse. That's definitely made it sting a little worse. But Mount Vernon was a really good team, but we knew, I really thought that we were probably playing better than they were at that time, and we did everything right, like I said, but just didn't make a shot.
Yeah. Yep. Mike, what do you got? Anything else for Jeff before we give Laurie a chance? Or
saw him a time or two last year, and was impressed with, like I said, he mentioned how hard those younger kids were playing. And for a couple of years, seeing the Mapes girl kind of learn to be a point guard. I like her vision. And I think last year it seemed like she was wanting to distribute more than looking to score for you earlier in the year, and then kind of started scoring for you later in the year. Because that point guard role, obviously can be a very difficult role. especially for a younger kid. So look forward to seeing him this year and, doing some games.
Yeah, when we moved Sawyer out of the point guard position last year, that's when our team really took off, and just we kind of used Madison and Sawyer together early in the year. And then once I just kind of moved Sawyer off the point, and then she only played point if Madison was out, and we put Sawyer in the post, which, she was the one who finished the best inside in there of the people that we had. So we made that change, and then all of a sudden we just started playing really, really well after that. So did Madison. I don't know if I took the pressure off her by saying, "Hey, you're it now." You don't know how these young kids think sometimes. We try to give them all the confidence in the world, and all those kind of things, and tell them how good they are. And they still don't believe it all the time.
Sure. Anything else, Mike, or should we move on to Laurie?
Move on to Laurie.
Laurie,
Yes.
21-8 last year. 17th full season for you coming up, I believe. And you went over the 400 win plateau yourself early on in the season last year. So I think probably a belated congratulations on that. I'm sure I said something to you at some point.
Thank you.
But you guys, you won a regional, which was the 14th time that they've T-Town's won a regional since you've taken over, and ran into Paris in the sectional semis. And Paris is a team that ended up third in the state. You also, is that right? No, Pena got third in state. That's right. I'm sorry, Pena did. But you ran into a good Paris team, lost to them by 6 points. So kind of Jeff's situation all over again. A very close postseason game that didn't go your way. And you're also in the situation where, you've got some key players back, but have some scoring to replace on the varsity team this year.
Yeah, we're very similar to Effingham. We've lost the scoring. Like I said, I do have 3 kids and a 4th one coming back that's contributed. But that was one of our key things that we talked about all summer. We have to be able to score. We have to pick up that scoring. Of course, we always talk about defense, but I've been on them. I mean, they had a shooting challenge. We have to replace outside shooters. It seems like the inside part, we can get there, but it's our outside shooting and that mid jumper. And, we've been on them, all the coaches have been on the girls, get your shots in. I need those shots to fall, and I need you to be taking them, because I feel like that's going to be a weakness for us if we aren't confident with the shooting. So we've been keying on that. Of course, it's a big step to fill, because we had outside shooters and that mid range. Caitlin being 6 foot can shoot that jumper. Hopefully, someone's going to fill up those shoes. But like I said, we've been working hard. We've had first 2 weeks of practice, and I feel like we've been doing some good things. We have 7 seniors. Again, I've got some younger kids that are going to contribute as well. So it's going to be kind of that puzzle of how to fit everybody together, how to make that work. And that's something, it'd be a work in progress. So hopefully we click at the right time, because it's going to take a little bit. Because I also have some young kids that I have 9 freshmen coming in. I have really my juniors and seniors. I only have 2 sophomores, 3 juniors. So that's small in that category. So these kids are actually going to get a little bit of playing time along with those seniors. So it's going to be interesting to see. Like you said, we need the offense to be replaced. Defense, so we'll keep after it, but the offense has got to be replaced.
Yeah, you mentioned Caitlin Shoemaker. She was your leading scorer, just a shade under 12 points a game. But you do have a double-figure scorer back in Kaylee Nieberge. She was just under 11, or just under 10 and a half, actually. The thing is, though, like if you look at your scoring averages from last year, you had 4 kids that were kind of close together, and I think, is it safe to say, like from night to night, you were never sure who you were going to necessarily get it from? I mean, Caitlin was your leading scorer, but she wasn't always your leading scorer that night. It wasn't a night in, night out thing. So at least you have some kids in Nieberge and Conkle that know what it's like to go out there and be the one to have the big game and to kind of put the scoring load on their shoulders that night.
Yeah, and that is important. And like I said, with these other kids, that's kind of been the history, kind of our history. We have a lot of the 10, the 12s. We don't necessarily have the 20s, the 20-point scores, which is nice. However, I feel like I have a couple kids on this team that should be around 16, 18 points. I think Emily Conkle, this could be a good year for her. She needs to step up. She's capable of doing that. Kaylee is capable of doing that. I have Courtney, I have Katie, Taylor, Jolene, and Stella. Those kids are all capable of giving me some of minutes. And like I said, when they get in there, it needs to be do your role. And that's kind of what I told them this summer, this is what you need to work on. This is going to be your role. This is how you're going to get quality minutes. So hopefully that's how it works out. That's always easy to say, but I feel, like I said, I do feel like they're working hard and they get along. So team chemistry is huge. I'm a firm believer in that. A team that has great chemistry will go far. And this is something these girls, they do have. They're kind of a really crazy bunch. They're a fun bunch. I enjoy them. But like I said, defense, that's the other thing we've been working hard on. Sometimes, defense is kind of hard to make, you want to play defense, but yet do you really want to play it? And we have some that are like, yeah, I want to play defense, but they're not quite there yet. Once they accept that they really want to play defense, we could be a very nice team.
Do you feel like your standards for what is good defense are probably, they're probably pretty lofty, aren't they?
They are, yes. I'm a firm believer in it, and we work hard at it. We work hard at it, but it does take everyone to buy in, because all coaches know, and everybody knows, it only takes one person to break down and your defense to fold.
Yeah.
And I really preach that. Don't be that weak link. Step up, don't take breaks. So again, we're going to be a work in progress. I don't know how we'll look coming out the chute. But I guarantee we hopefully the key is to progress through the season and get better and be ready in the postseason.
Yep. Mike, what do you got?
Well, first off, I'm shocked Laurie only used the word defense 25 times. I set the over-under at 27. I was shocked there. And I know, with chemistry, and I actually, Laurie and I talked a little bit the other day because I had to go through my golf coach year evaluation. Didn't win again. But it was a case where, chemistry, I think for them was really going to be big. And being that unit that works all the way through a game to get to where they want to be, I think they've got a lot of the pieces there. It's just molding the pieces together. And it's as much on the kids as it is on the coach. The coach can work and manipulate and try to, but the kids, they've got to buy into each other, and especially defensively. I'm out here busting my ass to do this, and then I turn around and you're taking a trip off and we get beat because you're dogging it. And, that's where you start having problems. And I think, that's where, I think, as usual, as the year goes on, both, all three of these teams are going to improve. I saw them all last year a few times and did games with them. And, every time you see them, they're better than the time you saw them before. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. That's your key. I mean, that's what you work for. You play your season, you set your season up for, like I say, 2 seasons, first season, second season. Granted, I know we're going to take some losses in the first season. It probably will happen, but I want to be ready for second season. And that's kind of how we always preach too. I want to throw out there too. I have a couple of younger kids that, very pleasantly surprised. Chloe Preps has come in, and Chloe's doing some great things, and she's a sophomore. So, she had a good summer, and, she's even improved. I can tell she's worked on her game. So it's nice to see some of these younger kids, because they're going to get quality minutes. I mean, it's going to happen. So again, it's a long season. Everyone needs to do their part, and I'm excited about it. And again, as far as defense, yes, we have to get better at it. Offense, yes, we have to get better at it. So yeah, it's the game, and we all know that it's both sides to the game.
Now, Laurie, I can't ask any conference questions. Everybody knows at this point that T-Town does the independent thing, but it does give you that freedom to do the schedule that you want to do, and you challenge yourself typically. Anything new and interesting on that schedule, or is it looking kind of like last year?
Yeah, it's pretty similar. We do start out, Salem disbanded back in April, their tournament. So we no longer go to the Salem Thanksgiving tournament.
Mhm.
So Sterling is taken over. So it's going to be a little different look, but we're still going to come out playing Carterville's who we're going to actually, Mount Vernon's our first regular season. And then we're going to jump into the tournament at Centralia and we'll play Carterville. And then we'll get Highland and we'll get Centralia. So that's kind of nice to see that. And then we have a little lull. We have like a week off, which is going to be good. I feel like after seeing that initial tournament, kind of see where you're at, because we kind of introduced a new offense too. We threw a lot of things at the girls the last 2 weeks, so it's going to be kind of interesting to see where we're at.
Very good. Mike, anything else we should hit on before we move on to Aaron?
Nope, we'll move on to Aaron, and we got to cross our fingers. Aaron's internet's kind of wonky, so we'll see how it gets up here.
Aaron Rios, St. Anthony went 23-10 last year and made it to the sectional championship. 23 wins, most ever in school history. If you'd won that sectional, that would have been the first time in school history, but a very successful year in what was your third season. You have your leading scorer back. That's a little bit different story for you, but you had the luxury of two 1,000-point career scorers on your team last year. Now Riley Guy has graduated. Lucy Fearday is still there. So, you get, you do have some very good players to replace, but you've definitely got a 17-point scorer back, and that's a nice thing, a nice starting point for you.
Yeah, thanks, Dustin. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's hard to replace scoring, as Coach Schafer and Laurie has referenced as well. With Riley Guy being our second leading scorer in school history, and trying to replace those numbers is difficult. And recognizing also Grace Karolevich, I think, was, in my opinion, and talking to other coaches, that in the past history has been one of the most solid point guards we have. She wasn't always in the news and didn't always score the points, but she was always big time on handling the basketball, taking care of the basketball. So, I think we got some really good tools coming back, some good players that got good experience last year, especially in the postseason. With Stacy Vonderheide coming off the bench last year for us, she had a great summer. She played really well this past summer. She's been great the last 2 weeks. She's really stepped up her game. We anticipate Tuesday night she'll probably start for us at the point guard position. She has the ability to get to the basket and put it on the floor, and she can knock it down from long range. So I'm putting a lot of confidence there. As far as as far as Riley goes, we're in a unique spot. We have a sophomore, Addison Rios, who stepped up big this summer and over the last 2 weeks. And we have a freshman, Nancy Ruha, who is an outstanding basketball player. But when you talk about freshmen and adjusting, just from a mental toughness standpoint, adjusting, it's difficult. So we're not expecting miracles from a sophomore or for a freshman to step in for those starting spots. But we also have back Maddie Kibler inside, who Maddie's a junior this year. She's a bruiser. She's difficult in the paint. She's a great defender. She can guard guards and she can guard the post, who got big minutes for us last year. And then someone that would have played minutes for us as a freshman is Addie Nuxel, about 5'9" in the paint. She can shoot really well out to 10 or 12 feet. Pretty consistent with her moves. She's very agile in the paint. So we expect big things out of her as well. And then we have some newcomers coming in. We have Riley Willenberg, who played with us 2 years ago, is coming back out for the basketball team this year as a senior. And then Anna Faber, who started for us last year, who was a really good contributor to our ball club. And we expect big things out of her and stepping up. And between her, Lucy, Stacy Vonderheide, and as we're trying to figure out the other 2 to 3 different pieces for our program, I feel like we're in a really good spot. And as the other coaches referenced, culture for us this year has been outstanding. For the last 4 years, we've been talking about the sisterhood, what the sisterhood means to us, what our program, how do we build around the sisterhood, how do we continue to help people become better people through the game of basketball and teach, and our teachings that way. And so the culture in practice the last few weeks.
All right. Lost you for a second there, Aaron. Sorry.
Oh, good.
I think you're back. I think you're back now.
Do you get my internet, provider, Aaron? Because this is how my internet worked for about the last.
I'm in temporary housing right now. Temporary housing with temporary internet.
Yeah. Got the gist of it. You're very excited about the culture of your program, and that's a good thing. Is there any task as a coach that is less enviable than trying to figure out who your point guard is going to be after having such a good one? Leading the team on the floor. You'd mentioned Grace Karlovich, and you're right. Didn't always score all the points, but her presence on the floor was felt. What's the process there? Do you usually have somebody in mind, or is it just we got to get out there and play games and see who's gonna be able to do that job? Because it is a uniquely challenging job for a player to do.
Yeah, it's difficult because you want to have somebody that's strong upstairs and mentally, and somebody that can carry that message inside your team, and someone that can be vocal and lead during, not the easiest times of the ball game when you 10 or 12 points, but when you're faced with adversity and the game's tied and you have a few minutes left and someone needs to help bring us home. Our guards this year to look at things differently as far as when it comes to the game and how they approach the game. And I feel really good. A lot of our kids that were really quiet just a year or two ago are more, they're talking and communicating better in practice. All these kids trust each other from the summer to where we're at today, which is huge for us, to have the trust on the floor. And then, I think we have some really, really good kids that are going to try to fill that spot with Stacy Vonderhyde, potentially Addison Rios and Nancy Ruha, and then a couple others are coming along from that standpoint too. But we're going to have to make adjustments, and it wouldn't be unlikely for us to have somebody like Lucy leading from a guard standpoint, maybe not from a point guard standpoint, but moving her more outside versus inside because she's versatile.
Yeah.
Same thing with Maddie Kibler, the way we run our offense, and we free flow in our fast break where we can bring, Maddie Kibler and Addie Nuxel outside. And then I think we could bring our guard set inside to be quick against other bigs and have different mismatches. So, we've been simulating those different strategies during practice as well. So we feel good. It's difficult, this, Dustin. If you have a kid that's a leader on your ball club, people respect and trust. That's not easy to gain, but I'm confident that we're gonna get what we need to get out of this group this year.
Well, and Lucy certainly, she's kind of more of a quiet leader. I think. I don't know how talkative she is, in practices and stuff, but I know her a little bit. My daughter takes pitching lessons from her, so I'm a little biased, but we like her a lot. And she seems like, even when if teams come after her and kind of know that they're going to focus on her from a defensive standpoint, that she is going to respond to that maturely and and just deal with it, right? Like it's not going to get her out of her element and get her out of her game. I don't know if anything takes her out of her game.
Yeah, we call her, it's kind of maybe not classy for a female, but it doesn't matter to me because we call her the beast for a reason. She takes care of business inside. She does an awesome job for us. And when I think about Lucy Fearday, I think of the word tenacity. I think of the word of competitor. I think it's somebody that is, from a leadership standpoint, she's outstanding. It's interesting you say that, Dustin. We were just watching film the other day from our regional game with Dietrich, and they're going to be a tough task on Tuesday night. They're going to bring the whole kitchen sink with them over to our house that night, and they play tough, and they've got a good ball club coming back. But they would double, triple, and quadruple if that's a strategy in basketball. Maybe against Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan back in the day, but Lucy, they would double, triple, and quadruple her that night and foul her almost every time she got in the paint. And she was just so composed. And that's how she's going to play all season. Whatever teams throw at us, they're going to key on her. She's going to get doubled in the paint. We're going to bring her outside. She's probably going to get doubled off the dribble. And then the other kids got to step up because there's going to be places on the floor that are going to be open.
So I guess that's kind of fitting then. She scored her 1,000th point in that game against Diederich. And I think it was at the free throw line, if I'm not mistaken. I think she did make a free throw to get there. I was there. I don't recall exactly, but I'm pretty sure it was a free throw. So
Aaron, your team,
Free throw line early.
Yeah, seeing you guys last year, like I said, I did the game, I think, on the radio the night that Riley guy scored like 90 points. I don't think she missed. She hit like her first 8 threes. She couldn't miss. I mean, she just everything went in. She couldn't miss. And but you mentioned Grace Karalevich. She was not a flashy player at all, but she kept you always going in the right direction. She was I felt like just a very subtle point guard who always was in the right place at the right time. When things were helter-skelter, she always managed to get the ball in her hands. Okay, let's calm this down and get it going. And then with your kids coming back, obviously Lucy, but I'll tell you, the kid that impressed me was Vonderheide. Her defense, you don't want her around you. I mean, she's not if you've got the ball, go guard someone else. Don't guard me. I mean, that's just, she became a pain. And I think we did you guys your regional championship game. She was just a pain that night, and just in a good way, obviously, just with her tenacity and how hard she works. But no, I think you guys all are, all three of you are in for, another successful season.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Appreciate that. I couldn't agree more. Down the stretch, Stacy Vonderheide and our different zone sets that we had, especially on the top of when we run a 1-3-1, and then even on the ball defense. I think the Beecher game, we had 26 point changes, but I think she forced 6 to 7 different turnovers in that game just by herself. And then when we played against Tri-County, who is always tough and difficult and disciplined and ready to play, when she came off the bench, she made a huge difference for us as well. So we're excited for Stacy I think it's not to put pressure on the kid because we don't, but we're excited for her. This is a coming out year for her. She played behind Riley and Grace the last few years, and she played this summer with a ton of confidence, and her on the ball defense for any guard in our league is going to be difficult no matter where we put her on the floor. It's just kind of trying to fill those other spots as well. But yeah, excited for her.
And you mentioned your league. The NTC is going to be good again this year. I think you guys, you were 7-1 in the NTC, finished in second place to CHBC. Both of you are looking to be strong again. Neoga obviously looks like they're going to be pretty good again. And Altamont obviously has a very special player that's going to be back not just this year but next year. So there's going to be some big time challenges in conference play. And you mentioned other teams like Diederich that are solid too. The league schedule and the conference tournament are going to be they're going to be big time work.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough year. Beecher brings back everyone but Morrison, and then they have Summers who broke her leg towards the end of the season, and have some other freshman kids that filled in last year for her as well. And then Neoga, to be the best, you got to beat the best. And so, they didn't win our league, but they went further than anyone in our league, and they had an outstanding season. And they got Sydney Richards coming back, who's difficult, all-state player. Haley Campbell in the paint, who's a beast to guard, and You know, they lost Fearday and Trista Moore, but they have other pieces with Hackman and Richards, sister Bryn Richards, and others that are coming back. And then Altamont, it's always scary. Katie's an awesome coach and has a team always prepared. And, you know, last year when we first faced Altamont, I think we beat them by 18 or 20 at home, and Grace still scored 50 against us. So she can change the game at any point of time, and I think Dietrich's coming along, and others are coming along as well. So it's going to be an interesting season. It's going to be fun.
All right, thanks, Aaron. So giving you all a chance to talk about your teams. One thing I neglected to ask, and one thing I kind of just neglect to ask all coaches about, I think, is to give them a chance to talk about their staffs a little bit, because you know, you guys aren't doing it alone, and you know, you've got people that you lean on a little bit. And Mike, I think, and you can speak to this as well, you know, having some good help on the bench is super important. So,
Well, it's huge because you need other eyes, you need other opinions. You know, I've been in both spots. I've been in the person offering opinions. I've been the person listening to opinions. And you have to have a good group that aren't afraid to just be yes people and tell you what you want to hear. You got to have a set of coaches who are say, hey, I think we need to set so-and-so and bring in so-and-so. And you may think that's crazy, but you know, they're not just telling you what you want to hear.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know, and you know, these three schools, I mean, they're all pretty good staffs underneath them helping them. So that's important.
Yeah. So feel free, anyone who wants to chime in on that subject, jump in there.
Okay, I'll go first.
Yes.
I have Josh Cottrell, who is my JV coach. Really, Josh, I've given him more responsibility the past few years just with offense, and I try to concentrate on the defensive side, which it has helped immensely. And Josh and I will get into it, which I like. I like someone, like you said, I don't want someone saying, oh yeah, you're right, coach, you're right. Everything you say is right. I don't want that. I want to be challenged too. And it's great to have him there because he is definitely that person. And also I'm so fortunate that I have Coach Maria Tegler, former player, and she also coached a little bit down at the junior high for us, and she's our fresh soft coach. And it's nice to have that former player because they've been through it. They've been in the trenches. They know what made us successful. And, you know, she's just another, like a fire, which I love. And then my daughter, Leah Hecht, also a former player. She's our volunteer. And again, same thing. She's been in the trenches. She goes down there and she, you know, can share her knowledge as well. So I'm very fortunate. I'm very happy with my staff. And like I said, very fortunate. And you're right. They're the backbone, and people don't realize how important they are because they're in the back, but they are extremely important. And I am very appreciative of all my coaching staff.
And Josh Cottrell also, he gives a good interview at the state tournament whenever you're tied up in the media room, and we've had to cross this bridge a few times, but that's his time to shine. He gets in there, and he's a natural with the post-game interview.
Oh yeah.
Jeff, Aaron, either one of you guys want to?
Yeah, I'm very fortunate. The two girls that help are Lacey Altoff and Megan Atkins. Got to get that right. Megan played more games for me than any player I ever have coached, because I was her 8th grade coach and then her varsity coach for 4 years. And those two have also both coached at the 8th grade level for me as well. And they kind of flip spots this year, just to try to make it a little easier on Megan, and since Lacey's kids are in high school. So those two have helped me. And then my two guys that have been with me are Aaron Rios and Troy Van Blerkum. Both have been with me for over 15 years, which is kind of, and I know Laurie's got the same situation there with Josh. I mean, having an assistant for that long, and it's kind of flipped with me and Aaron. Aaron kind of takes care of my defense, and I'm kind of more of the offensive person. Although the older I get, the less I like to give up points, for sure. But and then Troy is kind of our do-it-all person. I mean, he'll watch film, he'll do whatever he needs to do. He's always, he was kind of just a trainer on our bench for a long time. We're out for a couple of years, and I'm like, why don't you help out? And then he became our freshman coach, and with those two guys, and then that's what I tell our kids when we make a decision. It's not me making the decision. It's 5 people that have talked about it. They've decided. We bounced ideas off us back and forth, and then it's unfortunately my job to deliver the message sometimes, I think. But every decision we make is not mine. It's made with the coaches, and then the kids. I mean, trying to find a backup point guard for us this year. I just brought all the kids in, and I blamed Ella and Sage Altoff first for the problem. We're in this predicament because neither one of you really want to handle the ball. You guys will if I need you to, but what's our backup plan if Madison gets in foul trouble or whatever? So, I just interviewed all of our top 14 kids and asked them what they thought. So, but those assistants, I mean, plus they make our job fun. Going to work with those people every day, just make it. When you got to spend 4 months with somebody, liking the people that you're working with is just key as well. We love the kids. Sometimes some groups are easier than others, but the coaching staff just becomes some of your best friends.
How about you, Aaron?
Yeah, you guys.
Aaron's
referenced last
got to
year.
be careful what he says about his.
I was gonna piggyback off what Laurie said, kind of the backbone of our program, but not only backbone of our program, but the backbone of the Rios family. So, it's a unique situation for Stacy and I, as far as, I had to beg her to help me during the pandemic because it was difficult for us to find an assistant, and thankfully she stayed with me for even through now. I think she talks about every year about potentially doing something different. But the relationship's strong, and it may seem to some people on the surface as difficult to shut it down between practice and home, and I think we challenge ourselves to have a good balance of that. So very thankful for her, very thankful for the things she brings to our program, and just to have a strong woman in our program to help build our kids for the future is outstanding. In addition to that, we do have Ashley Dryden, who's joined us this year as well. She helped out at our middle school level. She's a former player at Neoga, and then she played college basketball at Greenville. So we're excited about Ashley joining our program this year, and she's done a really nice job of helping out our youth at the middle school level. And then in addition to that, I would be remiss to recognize Jan Braden for getting promoted to Pana out of our program from last year to be the head coach at Pana this year. He did a really nice job for us. So looking forward to our coaching staff with Stacy and Ashley, and then we have Jeff Loritzen at the middle school level too as well. Very thankful for all of them as we're continuously trying to build our program, trying to get more numbers out. They all play a big part of it. Our parents do as well. But yeah, thankful for our coaching staff. And as far as that record you referenced earlier, that had everything to do with the coaching staff and not myself last year. They kept me in line when I needed to be. The players did an amazing job, and without them, we wouldn't have had the success that we had last season.
Laurie, you kind of broke down already what your first week looks like, and Aaron, you've sort of alluded to it too. You've got Deerick Tuesday, you said, and then is it Sandoval that you play
Sandoval on Thursday? Yep. Yeah.
So you got to get started with a conference game right off the bat. That's an interesting challenge to have to face, because those games are obviously, they carry a little bit of extra weight.
Yeah, it's we've had the same schedule the last 4 years. We're preparing a little bit different than we have in the past, just because we have a different group. But yeah, we're expecting a dogfight on Tuesday night. We know that program has done an amazing job of I think 2 years ago they had 1 or 2 wins. Last year, coach and team delivered 18 wins and competed tough in our conference. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a tough game. We're expecting, we got to come out and play our game, not really focused on anything else, but playing what we do and be ready to go. And then we play Sandoval on Thursday night, and then we get a week of practice, and then we go down to the Robinson tournament. We're going to again play some very difficult competition. So it's a quick start, fast start, and within a week or so, we're going to have 6 ball games behind us.
And Jeff, Aaron's not even the only person on this panel that's starting the season off with Diedrich, right? Is that your first game as well?
Yes, so I'll be going to St. Anthony on Tuesday.
Hey, I think Kevin will probably charge you to get in, Mo.
I'm gonna show them my golden ticket. But yeah, I'll be going to St. Anthony on Tuesday to watch, and then off to Newton on Thursday to watch Newton, because we play Dietrich Friday, and then Newton Monday, and we don't want to have we won't hardly get a chance to prepare very much for Newton, so I want to make sure that we're ready for that game as well, so we can get that Newton tournament started off in the right way. But because they always do a good job, and when they put us at Altamont in the last game, it's pretty easy for everybody to start looking towards that past those first 2 games. But every game's a championship game is what we got to tell them that week. But yeah, we are excited to get started. Because our first game is usually not until the Newton tournament, so it is nice to get to play, because with the kids we have back, it seemed like we were able to get most of our stuff in pretty quickly. So we're definitely ready to play somebody different.
Yeah, you've been playing in the Bob Kearns tournament over there at Newton as long as I can remember, and it's some of the faces have changed throughout the years, but the bottom line is it just gives you a chance to get 4 or 5 games in quick succession. And I think, as the other 2 coaches here have already kind of said, it gives you a chance to play those games and just see where you're at right off the bat.
Right. And what we got to work on this year's a little different, because we have a day off between each game because one of the teams dropped out. So that's going to be a little different, because usually it was just you play, come back, talk about it, play again, talk about it, have Thanksgiving, play the 4th one, and you're done. And so this time you have a little time to prepare between each game, which is a lot different, because I think that's one thing that we're usually pretty good. It's probably worked to our advantage in the past, is being able to just tell our kids what to do and then have them being able to go out there and do it pretty well.
Mike, what haven't I asked these folks that we need to before we let them go? Because we're getting close to an hour. I don't want to tie up anybody's even too much longer, but
no, I think we've done pretty good. I look forward to seeing them play this year, get out on the court, get to go to games. There's nothing better than going to a high school basketball game in this area, in my opinion, either boys or girls. It's a lot of fun. You start missing the gym, missing the popcorn, those types of things. And yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully I'll get to do some, Mr. Sapp hasn't fired me from being a helper this year. So
well, we've had internal discussions. So I wasn't going to.
I understand.
But it just depends on who else is available. But coaches, unless I'll give you all one last chance. If there's anything in here that you need to get off your chest right now, go for it. But otherwise, we'll let you log off, and Mike and I can close out the show. Anybody got anything else they feel like they need to add?
Just thank you, Dustin, Mike. Appreciate it. Jeff and Laurie, always great to see you guys, and good luck to all of you guys this season, and looking forward to seeing all your success.
Very good.
Just pray for a nice, healthy year for all of us.
Yep.
Yes.
No, I agree.
All right. Well, perfect. We appreciate all 3 of you taking the time to talk to us. You certainly don't have to do this. I don't know how much how much benefit you personally get from it, but it's great for us. We appreciate it. It's been very good getting to know all you guys throughout the years. And so thanks so much for taking a little time out of your Sunday evening.
All right, thanks for
Appreciate it. Take care.
All
See
right.
you guys.
We'll give all these coaches a chance to sign off. And Mike, you and I can do whatever housekeeping we've got to do.
We wrap up quick, Whitey. There's not a whole lot to discuss.
No, there's not, you know.
I mean, the
I will
Cardinals haven't
say-
signed Aaron Judge yet, so we can't talk about that.
I will say this, you know, we spent a little bit of time couple times we talked, really being high on Illinois football.
Oh my.
And since then, they have laid a couple of big steaming turds out there on the Memorial Stadium turf.
Well, I'll tell you, I watched yesterday's game. I was visiting my daughter in Bloomington, Indiana yesterday. And we left during that surprise snow. We left here about 8. And I talked to people who were going west on 70, and they were talking about all the vehicles in the ditch and spending 45 minutes in traffic by Mulberry Grove. And we sailed to Bloomington. I mean, the snow was coming down pretty hard in Terre Haute, but roads were fine. I saw 2 cars off. And we ate lunch, and you know, not too many TVs on in the pizza place we were at, because Indiana was playing Ohio State, so they weren't watching that one. And I had the Illinois game on my phone, and I'll tell you the thing that really disappointed me the most: lack of discipline.
Yeah.
Oh my! I mean, that last touchdown drive, they had 4 penalties on the drive? They were given 2 unsportsmanlike conducts on an extra point, kicked off from the 35. You know you're gonna, and then proceeded to have back-to-back 15-yard penalties on the defense. Give them the yardage you were just given on the kickoff, and it was like watching. The announcers kept talking rivalry game. No, it was just stupid shit going on. That Purdue's quarterback is in the white of the sidelines. And when the kid shoves him down, he's out of bounds. And then what did I do? I hate that. That's the only thing about high school basketball in the area I hate. A kid will foul the crap out of somebody. What did I do? No, you fouled him.
Yeah, I mean, I think I will say, in probably seeing it more through fans, through orange colored glasses than you probably. There were a couple pass interference calls I thought were questionable.
But you know what?
But the discipline stuff you're talking about is 100% right.
That was the biggest thing, the lack of discipline. That it gets to that becomes embarrassing when you make those stupid penalties. Yeah. Pass interference calls, I understand they're missed, it's interpretation, blah, 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 blah. But my God, when you're knocking guys down a step out of bounds and just, Brown and the kid from Purdue taking their hats off, trying to throw down in the middle of, in the field. I'm like, what do you want? If I'm Brett Bielema, this is puke week. I'm not even mentioning Michigan. I'm just running kids till they puke every day. Well, because you're representing your school, and you come out and you didn't give an effort against Michigan State for one, and then you come out and played like, just a bad team with a bad attitude is how they play.
Full disclosure here, I actually went to that Michigan State game, and so maybe it's partially my fault. First time going to Memorial Stadium and quite a spell, and maybe we jinxed them. I don't know. I thought it'd be a good chance to. My daughter had never been to anything besides a Hearts game, so I thought, she might like to go. And the wind, that was the day the wind was blowing like,
oh yeah, insane.
That game was just not fun the Michigan State game was not fun to watch for a number of reasons. I mean, Illinois didn't play very well, though there was no flow to the game. Also, something I noticed was that they seemed to be unprepared for so many people to be there to see the game. Like maybe there hadn't been a crowd like that there in quite a while.
Well, the biggest crowd they had in a while.
Yeah, the parking situation was not great. Getting into the stadium was not great. You know, a lot of seemed like a lot of infrastructural issues with game day stuff were, it just hasn't been an issue for a while because Illinois football has not exactly been a hot ticket for a while. And unfortunately, their last two home games were ugly, and they're probably going to be playing Michigan, it seems like, without their, nationally coveted running back because Chase Brown got hurt in the last minute of the game against Purdue. He got his ankle rolled up pretty good. I don't know that they've actually said what
I haven't seen anything. And I'm not a Illinois fan. I'm not, I've been on the bandwagon. No, I just enjoyed this when they were being successful. It's good for the area. There's so many just diehard Illinois fans I know that go up and tailgate, and now they're having fun and they're winning. And I'm watching them. I was enjoying watching them.
Yeah,
I like the way their defense played it, and they played, I felt, up until the Michigan State game, very disciplined. Everything was impressive, and now it's like, they're the kid all of a sudden who talks garbage in the neighborhood. Now you beat them, and all they want to do is, cheap shot you. And no, go back to the way you played. Now, maybe they hadn't played anybody. Maybe those teams. That's part of it, and I agree. They're not in the SEC West. I understand that.
Yeah,
but you played where you are. But yeah, you had a silver platter. You were going to get a play in Indianapolis for the Big Ten championship, which should have been the greatest recruiting bonanza tool you could use ever. You show up in someone's house with that Big Ten championship game T-shirt on or whatever, and you just puked it away.
Yeah, and now that you still could, but you're going to need help. Can't do it on.
I don't even think they can get enough help to get there.
Yeah, all I know is what I saw.
You ain't gonna win this Saturday.
Nobody controls their own destiny. That's all I know for sure is that
Right.
None of these teams can get in, whether it's Purdue. Or, I guess maybe theoretically, maybe Wisconsin.
I think Purdue can just win out and get in because they have Indiana and Northwestern. Because I think Purdue holds the tiebreaker. I don't know. The announcers were trying to explain it, but I don't know. But more importantly, Whitey, what I did get to watch this week was a little college basketball.
Yeah. College basketball's back. And
I was, one of our former guests, Marty Simmons. I watched Eastern play Illinois.
Yeah, and they hung tough for a half. I thought they
Eastern hung with them and played well. They've got some kids who can play. Marty's got some kids who can play.
They played
Central Michigan. I'll tell you, the kid I was most impressed with was PJ Carlissimo's son.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say the most impressed. Pleasantly surprised with how a kid just stepping in and he does some good things. I hope they're able to keep him 4 years.
Yeah, they hung around pretty well, and that's a good Illinois team, I think.
But Illinois not going to shoot the way all year they shot, and Illinois proved that the next game because they did not shoot it very well.
No, they didn't, but they've got a lot of interesting people in the arsenal. It's going to be a far different team to watch this year than it was last year because you don't have a big freak in the middle. You could say Coburn did or didn't do what he should have been able to do with the body that he had. But the fact of the matter is you have a guy like that on your team, you're going to have to run your offense around that person. And now they don't have him. And maybe it, in a way, frees up Underwood to do some different things.
It makes you, I think in the big picture, it makes you better. There's more flow to the game now. But here's the thing, Kofi had another year of eligibility. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're telling me the potential NIL money he could make versus going Japan. I didn't know there was a league in Japan. I'm just going to be brutally honest.
Is it Japan or China?
Japan. He's going to Japan to play.
I think obviously when he decided to become a professional, I don't suppose playing overseas was what he had in mind or
Well,
what his
the
handler.
NBA doesn't exactly love people with his game. They really don't.
Yeah.
Look at all the kids who came back for
Mhm.
another year. You know,
Yeah.
they keep saying the year of the big, the year of the big. And it is the year of the big in college basketball because you got a lot of guys who came back for another year who many people thought were gone. You know, people that old Zach Ed, he's going to go. No, Trace Jackson, no. I mean, there's a lot of,
Okay.
Dickinson. The Big Ten's got a lot of people back.
Those are big guys that can put the ball on the floor and big guys who can knock down a jump shot. And that's one, I mean, that's just, Kofi's game was brute strength, right? Like that's what he did.
And,
You
and
mentioned
you're going to
Trace
play
Jackson.
against guys who are just as strong.
Yep.
You're not playing against South Alabama. You're playing against guys who are just as strong. So again, I don't know. Now I will tell you this: be prepared. The Hoosiers are good, Whitey.
Well, I was just getting ready.
You knew we were going there. You knew we were going there.
Whether listen, we'll see if that's for real or not because I hear Indiana's good like every year. I think.
No, they've got two very good freshmen complimenting them. And if they can keep everybody, and just like Laurie said, keep the chemistry. They've got two freshmen that are really, really good and are nice complementary pieces. And I know they're playing Bethune-Cookman, the game I saw highlights for their other game. Yes, they're not in the grind of the Big Ten. And unfortunately, in the grind of the Big Ten, you don't get to run up and down the floor like they were able to in this game. But that's their weakness is when you get mucked down into the half court game. And their perimeter shooting, it has to be better than it was last year. I don't know if it's good enough to, get deep into a bracket. However, they're going to be fun to watch.
Do you think that the Big Ten, so the Big Ten has this reputation of being the dogfight league, it's a physical battle every night and you got to be a man to play in this league. And then they get into the tournament and underperform every year. Do you think there's ever, not every year, but they're typically a little more highly touted than they end up performing?
I don't think they're, I'm going to look at it from this way. I mean, very rarely do you see a Big Ten game 92-88. Very rarely.
Do you think and I don't know, like a league can't just as a league decide this is the kind of ball we're going to play, but maybe as a collective, you could kind of shift to it a little bit, but then the games are always officiated in a way that doesn't.
Yes, I feel that's your biggest issue is Big Ten games are officiated differently than an NCAA tournament game. And here's the bulletin. I don't think people have thought that for just 4 months. So, you got to start adjusting now. Coach Izzo's had some nice deep runs. Last year, man, I would have hung my hat on Iowa getting to the final. I think I did in my bracket getting to the final.
That's right.
And good Lord. And Fran McCaffrey will not get a Christmas card for me this year. I will say that. But they go up and they get in a different style and they don't adjust, which is why I like seeing Indiana's flowing up and down the floor, getting up and down the floor, getting after it. I like that. And, those Big Ten games turn into, 59, 55. And it's like, God.
Well, I'll tell you,
just can't get off shots. And it's such.
You mentioned Illinois playing, they played Friday night too. They played Kansas City, something like that.
The Ruse. Reggie Theus was the coach. And I'll tell you what, they weren't very good. They had a lot of kids, long kids, but you know what? Illinois didn't shoot it very well.
No, Illinois didn't shoot very well. I wanted to mention also on the call of that game on Big Ten Network, Bruce Weber did it. And I liked him pretty well. By the time Bruce Weber was finished at Illinois, I don't think most Illinois fans were very sorry to see him go. Things weren't just weren't going real
Yeah,
well.
but by gosh, they missed him after about a year and a half.
Yeah, and the thing is that I don't think there was ever a question about what kind of person he is, and I wanted things to go well just because he seems like a very genuine person and a likable person. I never had to play for him, so who knows what those guys felt, but
Well, he could have kicked me out of could have thrown my whole family out of the gym at summer camp once.
is that right?
Well, not me. I didn't have anything to do with it. Typical back 18 years ago when I was coaching, we were up there for team camp and my players were chasing Zach Wilson around, harassing him. Zach was probably, oh my gosh, 10, 8, 9.
Yeah.
And while they're chasing Zach, and of course he thinks he's running for his life, he runs square into Bruce Weber, not seeing him come, and knocks Bruce Weber flat on his arse. Just drops him. And I thought, oh my God, we're going to be shot at dawn. And no, he couldn't have been nicer about it. Yeah, Zach, the best tackle he made, in high school, he may have been offensive lineman because he didn't hit people that hard. But he dropped Bruce Weber. Of course, all the kids chasing him, they disappeared. So it's just Zach and Bruce and me walking over going, oh my God, coach, are you okay? So.
Well, I think we've hit on about everything. It should be I'm looking forward to the basketball season, the prep season.
I'm excited.
It's going to be a fun one. We talked to Coach Rios just now, and I think that NTC girls conference, is one that I'm going to have a lot of fun keeping an eye on it this year.
CHBC.
Yeah.
Who got second? St. Anthony got second.
CHBC won.
Neoga goes to state.
Neoga was
Altamont's where they are. Dietrich's good. And the other teams are better. It's good conference. Good girls Class 1A conference.
And Coach Rios mentioned Sydney Richards from Neoga. Passing note, she's 6 points shy of 1,000. They play Central A&M at home tomorrow. She ought to be doing that one. She'll probably have that one taken care of by the end of the
doing any games this week on the radio?
No, not till next week. Next Tuesday, I don't even know who's playing, but I know that Greg asked me if I could do a game on the 22nd. That's at the turkey tournament at St. Anthony. So I must have looks like Effingham and Breeze.
Yeah, he sent out that schedule, but I don't know that he asked anybody.
Yeah. Friend of the show, Matt Robinson, he's gonna be one to watch Mason play. He's gonna be a senior this year.
That may get me and you more radio time this year, Wendy.
Yeah, I would think so. Mason's going to go play baseball at Kaskaskia next year, but he's a hell of a basketball player too. And
another friend of the show, guest Mitch Custer.
Yeah, absolutely. We just, we're just
it's good karma when you're on our show.
I guess so. We'll have to start making arrangements for Kurt Becker to come on and talk about the NTC tournament in a few months and all that good stuff.
I got our first roster in for the Christmas tournament.
Yeah.
All right. Here's the roster: 6'8", 6'7", 6'6", 6'6", 6'6", 6'4", 6'2", 5'10", 5'10", 5'10".
I'm looking forward to it.
And one of those 5'10" kids is a freshman, supposedly getting D1 offers.
You guys have a good thing going, and it just seems like it keeps progressing. So
I'm going to go out on a limb and say individual talent this year may be the best tournament we've ever had. And the first year we had 16 teams, I thought it was loaded with talent, and I think this year we're going to have a little different level of talent.
But the girls season gets started this week, and then obviously the boys will get going next week.
And our plan is to have the 3 coaches from the Holy Trinity next week. I've got to reach out to them all.
It's nice just that it's the same people year in and year out too. There's some good consistency in all the programs in our central orbit, so to speak. We pay attention to a lot of schools, but obviously can't
Right.
do a show centered around all of them. But yeah, it was very nice of Jeff and Laurie and Aaron to come on with us again. And I'm guessing that that Chet and Obi and why am I blanking on
Cody.
Cody? Rinker. I was just there's so many rinkers floating around in my head from being in the area for
I used
this.
to say bad things about Cody when he was a player.
But lots of strong programs for us to keep an eye on, lots of good teams, and should be another good season. And hopefully we'll get a chance to see a lot of games and talk about them and give you guys that are watching this the lowdown. And I'm going to try to keep track of all those standings and scoring again this year. I told the radio station, if they get me a page on the website, all I want in return is a link to our YouTube channel on the page, and I'll put my standings on there. And it seems like
my kid said we need to get on Spotify.
Well,
that's over my pay grade, so I don't know.
I'll see what I can do about I tried to get us on iTunes once upon a time and ran into some struggles that I didn't have the last time I tried to put a podcast out there. So I don't know. I'll see what I can do within the constraints of my
They said it's easier to find.
Very busy, but yeah, I'll see what I can do,
and we probably at some point here early in the season will need to sneak on the old Hall of Famer for to be back for another visit.
Sure. Those are the ones people like.
He's doing something special, Whitey. I'll tell you later. Because if I tell you on the air, I'd have to kill you.
Okay. Well, don't kill me. Okay. I got to get my kids put to bed yet. So
yeah, well, I still got pulled pork driving me nuts. I got to go
all
upstairs.
Right. Well, hey, we've been going for an hour and 20 minutes. We need to stop.
All right.
So thanks again to the 3 girls coaches we talked to tonight. Thanks in advance to the boys coaches that we should be able to get on next week. Be looking forward to that, everybody, and be checking us out every week for a new show. We'll be breaking down local basketball and having a good time with it. So, Mike,
sounds good.
Get up there and get yourself something to eat. Take it easy, Mike.
All righty, see you, Whitey.